Assalamualaikum everyone, and welcome back. This is your girl Fatima, the founder and CEO of Apparels by FM, a modest fashion brand woven into your everyday, and also the co-founder of the Henna Sisters. And welcome back to Entrepreneur Diaries. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about where Apparels by FM started, basically, the hardships, what we learned, and going forward, what is our vision? So where did Apparels FM start and how? One day, my mother brought home a prayer cover. Now, those of you who are not Muslims or you don't know what prayer covers are, basically, for Muslims, we have to have a covering on us. When we're praying, we have to have certain body parts covered. We have to have a very modest outfit on, basically, to be able to pray. It's something similar to how, when Christians go to church, they have to dress very modestly. It's the same thing with Muslims and their prayers, basically. So one day my mom just brought home this prayer cover that someone gifted to her, and she started praying into it, and then she comes out and she's talking about all the possibilities and the pros and cons of the prayer cover. And then we sit down and I'm just sitting there thinking, wait, there is a gap in this product that can be made into a better version. So why not make that, try it out, ask people if they like it, and eventually make it into a business. So that's what we did. With a few spare material at home, we started experimenting and trying to see what cuts are working for the prayer covers, what looks nice. When we drafted our first sample, we were very happy with it. And then because my mother was doing a Quran course at that time, she didn't really have a lot of time, and I didn't know how to stitch either. So we went out to go find a professional tailor, and we started talking about cost. We started breaking down the cost analysis. We started to see what the turnaround time would be, because a professional is going to be making it. Of course, he needs more time. And everything was settled. With $200 in my pocket, I go to the market, buy the best quality material, come home, go back to that tailor, give him the sample that we made, and khalas. I was like, okay, in a week, inshallah, he's gonna call me and we're gonna be able to see how everything is. Long story short, a week passes by. I go in, and I have this habit before leaving any store, before leaving any business, I always check my bags, I always check my products. I always try to see if everything that I paid for is there, or if there's any discrepancies or problems or whatever, we could solve it then and there. And I try to improvise that into my business as well. I'm standing there at the store checking how the prayer covers have been stitched by a professional tailor, mind you. I open it and I wanted to cry, because that was the only $200 that I had saved up, jobless, out of school, not being able to find any work, coming from a very middle class family. I felt as if the whole world just dropped on my shoulders, and I lost that $200 that I wanted to invest to start my business. You do not want to know, and I cannot describe how those prayer covers came out, but they were not the type of prayer covers that I could sell or even wear myself. They had corners out from everywhere. The stitching was everywhere. There were patches stitched onto it, and mind you, I did not know how to stitch at that time. And when I was trying to explain to the tailor at that time that this is not what I wanted, and I gave him the sample, and he's like, oh, look, but you can't really tell the stitching here and there. I'm like, no, I want to sell these, and I can't sell them if I can't wear them myself. So it was a very heavy heart. Came home, showed my mom, broke down into tears. My mom was talking to my aunt at that time, and my aunt said she knew a professional tailor who does really good job with customizations, and maybe he can help. And eventually we booked an appointment with that tailor. He came home to our place. I explained everything to him, and I don't know in what point of time he didn't understand that the prayer covers were supposed to be made for a business. He made the prayer covers. He came back. With this tailor, basically, I had to pay 50% upfront as a deposit, and 50% he wanted after he basically gave me the stitch materials. So when he came to collect the 50% that he had remaining, he comes up to me, and mind you, this is a brown man who thinks that he can basically bully a girl who's just trying to like start a business or do whatever, and he thinks I don't know how to talk, or I don't know business matters or whatever. He comes up to me and he's like, "You're not paying me enough because this is for a business. You should pay me double the amount that you're paying me for." I look at him. I look at the stitching. And I ask him, I'm like, "You want me to pay more for this?" And he's like, "Yes. You should pay me at least double the amount of what you paid because it's for a business and you're going to be making profit on it." I didn't say anything to him because we had an agreement. I told him, "Take this for now. I'm going to see what I want to do in the future." I paid him a little extra just so we can end the relationship on good terms. And then I'm sitting there thinking, why is it that all these men think that they can talk to me like this? Is it because I don't know the skill? Is that the reason why everyone can talk to me like this? And that's when I sat my mom down, and I'm like, "You need to teach me how to stitch." And she looked at me and she's like, "But I can stitch it for you." I'm like, "I know you can, but I need to know how to stitch. I need to know how to do this, so when you don't have time, or if I have time and we have orders, we can fulfill them easily." So that, ladies and gentlemen, was when I learned how to stitch. This whole situation, or this whole scenario, taught me that to run a business, you yourself have to know all the skills. You might not need to be a one-man army and do everything yourself, but you do need to know all the skills that your business requires. Otherwise, people are either going to be cheating you, people are going to be scamming you, they're going to be overcharging you for no reason. Mind you, these prayer covers, yes, they do take time. I respect that. I make them myself now, so I know how much time and effort it takes. So after that whole fiasco with the tailor and me wanting to learn how to stitch, now my mom knew how to stitch professionally, and with time she taught us how to be able to measure material, how to cut it, how to cut different silhouettes. So I knew how to cut things. The thing I didn't know how to do was sew on the sewing machine. And that's what my mom basically taught me after this whole situation. And alhamdulillah, because of that, we started making orders in bulk. Now was time to show the world that this is what we're gonna do. So this is what we did. We played the psychology game. Anyone that would come to our house and it was prayer time, we would put the prayer covers out with the prayer mats, and a lot of people would wear them and be like, "Oh, the material's so soft, oh, this is so easy, oh, this is so cozy." At that time, not a lot of people knew how to make these instant prayer covers or these scarves or whatever you want to call them, basically. And we were making them in different sizes. Some would come down to like your waist, some would come down to your knees, and some would come down to basically your ankles. So we had all different variations for anyone who was wearing whatever and anyone who wanted any type of like different length. People coming into our house, they're trying these out, they're getting fascinated by it, like, "Oh, can you make me one?" After the third time someone said, "Can you make me one?" I was like, "You know what, we're starting a business. Why don't you give us this time?" We had different prints at that time, so I asked them what print they wanted, what size they wanted. We customized it according to that and collected our first few transactions for the business. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how Apparels by FM started. From prayer covers, a whole fiasco with the prayer covers and with our tailors and professionals, learning new skills, and eventually pushing it out to friends and family. And alhamdulillah, it started. Now in 2018, social media was not really big. Facebook was really big at that time. Facebook Marketplace was blowing up. Instagram hadn't really picked up yet. It was here and there. It was starting off as a search engine or like a lifestyle social media platform, basically. So instead of focusing more on Instagram at that time, we started selling on Facebook Marketplace. And We started getting orders continuously. 4 or 5 months into the business, struggling so much, putting in all my pocket money, all my savings, everything into the business, I finally landed a job as a data analyst at a very big company, one of the big fours, basically. Now, the nature of my job was to be on call 24/7 because I was a data analyst for the sales operations department, which meant that I had to take on anything and everything that the sales team needed at any point of the day. Sometimes I had to wake up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., making these reports, sending them out so the sales team would have them, or these different type of documents that the sales team would have before they went on with their day the next morning. It came to a point where it was very hard to me to balance both my full-time job, which was also my career path, and this business. So this business did kind of go on the sidelines, and we were only making prayer covers, or I was only able to promote it on the weekends, and we were still getting a steady flow of orders, but I had to like tone down on a lot of the marketing, a lot of the orders, a lot of the production, just because I was not able to fulfill the orders because of the workload that I had. A few years down the line, COVID hit, and everyone's careers and jobs went down the drain. And yes, I was one of them. I lost my job. We had to move. Now, coming from a corporate background, at this point of my career, I was working two different roles. So I was also the national uh, sales executive that would compile all the data from all like the sales representatives, and then I had basically my analyst job, which I would basically turn that data into dashboards, and I would make reports on it, and we would have our growth strategies, and all the big boy talks would be on the reports that I would make. For the longest time, I couldn't find a job. Again, anyone who works a full-time job at this point of time, in this era, you're very, very, very fortunate, because the job market is very tough out there, and it's been tough since COVID. I'm not gonna lie. I basically had no other choice, but I landed a retail job. Now, with retail came a lot of experience. Don't get me wrong, I learned so much. I learned the customer experience, I learned how to deal with different kind of people. I learned everything that a business owner should learn on the sales floor. But was it my ideal job and my ideal career? No. A few months into the job, I started craving that creative freedom that I had as being an analyst in a corporate job, basically. I didn't have the freedom to do anything. I only had to listen to my managers and leaders, and the company kept promising me different promotions and everything. And there just came a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I worked retail for 3.5 years. That's a long time. I know. But within that 3.5 years, I restarted the business. In July 2021, we relaunched the business again, and we brought in a new product. Now, prayer covers weren't our only product and weren't our major focus either. We brought in hijabs. 2021, a lot of modest fashion brands did not exist. A lot of people were still struggling. A lot of Muslims were still looking for modest fashion. They were looking for hijabs. And because we had built this clientele over the years, and people knew that we had good quality, we were very fair with our pricing, they started asking us if we could bring in hijabs. And unfortunately, we didn't have the capital, and I didn't really have the time before 2021 to start doing that. But again, joining a retail team, I had a lot more time, and I needed a creative outlet for myself. So I relaunched the business. The branding wasn't the best, because at that time, branding wasn't really a really big thing, and I just didn't have any resources, honestly. Financially, I was struggling a lot, and I just wanted to get this up and get the side hustle that I really wanted to work. So we rebranded it, relaunched it with new products. We started off with two different collections of hijabs, our premium chiffon hijabs, which we have till this day, and our bubble chiffon hijabs. Sorry for the interruption, guys. I was editing this and I realized that I said bubble chiffon when it's the ball chiffon collection that we are discontinuing. Which we are unfortunately discontinuing because we are bringing in new products again. Starting off with these three products, we started eventually getting into marketplaces. We started doing physical pop-ups. I started building a community slowly through the hijabs. And then all of a sudden, I got promoted again, and I didn't have enough time to work on the business again. So it slowed down again. Now, this promotion wasn't the promotion that I wanted or I deserved, but it was a promotion. And this company promised me different type of promotion. I kept doing different things, and 2024 April, I had enough. I had enough. I relaunched the business again, this time making it the main focus, relaunching it so I can work on it full time. When you relaunch a business, you have to bring in something that's unique and something that will keep people engaged into it. So we launched our abayas in 2024, last year. Yes, our abayas are the newest addition to our Apparels by FM family, and Alhamdulillah, they have been the biggest game changer for our brand. All the savings that I had for the 3 years that I worked in retail, I basically invested all of them into the business again. You do not want to know how much. I can give you a figure. It was 5 figures. It was a lot, but Alhamdulillah, it was worth it. If I look back now, all the struggles that I went through with the different jobs that I did, with the different career paths that I had to choose, I learned a lot of skills. And the best skill that I did learn was the skill of customer service, how to serve people. And again, if we go back to our previous episode where I was talking all about like how my grandfather basically taught me, he would always talk about customer service, and that customer service is basically the engine that runs the business, because he was so right about that. The soft skills, the soft transferable skills that you learn from different kind of jobs, and you pick up on different things, and when you implement them into your business eventually starts giving you back after all that hardship that you had been through. Now, don't get me wrong, between this whole process from 2018 to 2024, there were at least 6 times where I was sitting down looking at the inventory that I had because it wasn't moving, because I couldn't put any effort in. And I was like, I need to close this down. I'm going to close this down. And every time my younger sister, Amna, would come up to me, she would be like, you're dumb. Don't, don't close it down. And at the back of my head, I knew she was right, because starting something takes in so much effort, so much of your time, so much energy, so much financially, that if you close it down, you're never going to be able to fulfill that void that you basically have lost. But restarting it was always another option. Till today, we have rebranded this brand 4 times. Would I have changed anything about this whole journey? No, because I learned a lot. If anything, I am the person I am today because of the experiences that I went through. I think that's enough for today's story time. Stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to be talking about how we handpick our products, how we source them, how they come into being, and how we are able to bring them to life to you guys so you can purchase them. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you guys know when we're dropping next. And don't forget, follow us on socials, guys. There's something very exciting coming on my personal Instagram channel, so you guys might want to check that out too. Until next time, Assalamualaikum.